The Los Angeles Dodgers will take on the Houston Astros in this year's World Series, and this is the first time in nearly 50 years that two 100-win teams will face off in the Fall Classic. The highly anticipated matchup between two of the best teams throughout the season begins Tuesday night at Dodger Stadium, and CBS Sports columnist Bill Reiter and the host of Reiter Than You back in Los Angeles to give us a preview. Not used to seeing you. What is that, a bedroom?
It's my glamorous sports writer hotel lifestyle.
It works. Let's start with hitting. Houston led the major leagues with just over 5.5 runs per game in the regular season. But surprisingly, Bill, they had some struggles against the Yankees. What do you expect from this offense led by the all-popular Jose Altuve?
Yeah, they really did. And part of that, I think, Stephanie, was the Yankees on this incredible swing of momentum. CC Sabathia, Luis Severino, that entire staff really stepped it up. And some of that is this Astros team, talented though they are young. And baseball feels different. The pressure feels different in October. I will say this, though, as a word of encouragement for the Astros. Last year, a very young offense, the Chicago Cubs, struggled early on in the NLCS. They found their bats. They certainly found them in the World Series, and they were champions. So I would expect the Astros to be much more in line with what we saw in the regular season now that they've made the World Series. And some of that stress, some of that pressure is probably off them a little bit.
Yeah, maybe regain some of that confidence. All right, let's talk pitching. Both teams have a pair of dynamic aces that will toe the rubber in this series. Which duo do you like better?
Yeah, this is a really great question. It probably determines who wins this series. Clayton Kershaw and Yu Darvish for the Dodgers are as good a 1-2 combo as you could ask for in all of baseball, unless you look to the American League and the Houston Astros, where Justin Verlander's been nothing short of spectacular since coming over in a late season trade, and Dallas Keuchel obviously is a great pitcher. I think, Stephanie, the answer comes down to this. Is Clayton Kershaw going to be the dominant force he is in the regular season and he was against the Cubs? Or can that young Astros offense get to him the way he's been gotten to in the past in the postseason, including in the NLDS? So it's a cop-out answer because I want to say both. I think it's the Dodgers, but it depends on Kershaw being Kershaw.
It's also right how the pitchers line up in these games. And Yu Darvish will start Game 3 for the Dodgers, leaving him available for a potentially decisive Game 7. What do you think of that move?
Yeah, I mean, this sort of pits two very different philosophies about building an organization against one another. Here in Los Angeles, Andrew Friedman, who's the president of operations, has surrounded himself with a lot of not just former general managers, Farhan Zaidi's his actual GM, but guys who are very much into the numbers, believe in sabermetrics, look into the data in a way that makes my head hurt and I frankly can't understand. And this move is sort of a reflection of that. They've crunched the numbers, they've looked at the data, they've studied sample sizes and things I don't get that make them much smarter than I am. And they've determined that this is the right thing that makes sense from a mathematical perspective. And it's hard to argue with them because this Dodgers team didn't love that sort of numbers-based approach that Friedman brought when he became the guy that's in charge a few years ago. It's obviously worked out, and it probably means they know what they're doing. And Darvish, as a potential Game 7 guy, makes sense, at least when you look at the math.
We'll see. All right, let's talk about home field advantage, a big deal in this series. Both of these teams are undefeated at home this postseason. Do you expect that trend to continue? And we know the Dodgers have the home team advantage.
Yeah, that's an amazing stat. Both these teams have been flawless at home. Early on, I'm just going to go with a pure pride answer here. Before the season started, my prediction was the Dodgers to win the World Series. I did spend 4 years of my life here. My kids, at least so far in their lives, were raised here. So maybe it's like the nostalgia that I'm feeling here in my sports writer hotel lifestyle. But I actually think the Dodgers are by far the superior team. It would not shock me if they win in 5 or 6. So I don't think it'll go 7. I think the Dodgers, especially with Corey Seager now back on this team, he missed the NLCS. I think even for this great Astros team will be too much to handle, and I think the series will draw to a close before Game 7.
Either way, someone is going to end a pretty long title drought. The Dodgers will win their first ring since 1988. If they win, the Astros have never won, right? So your prediction is the Dodgers? Is that what you were saying, Bill?
I'm sorry, Houston fans. You deserve this. It's been a pretty neat sort of emotional thing to watch the city and the team rally together after the hurricane. But I think the Dodgers aren't just a great team this year. I think there's an argument to be made that they're a historically great baseball team. And I do think the Los Angeles Dodgers, for the first time in a generation, will be World Series champions within a week.
And like you said, Houston's a young team, so there's still time. Bill Reiter.
They're going to be great in the future.
Yeah. Bill Reiter, thank you so much.
You bet.